Yep.
All right, y'all. Welcome to DBAP chat. This is one I'm trying to schedule a few different times, but this guy here, he's tough to nail down. And we are, it looks like we're both fresh out of our Marlboros. So we're going to just be winging this one here on Monster Energy. As I started this, it was important for me to talk to people that had a great story to tell. That weren't like everyone else. And then I always ask people, who should I talk to? And of course, everyone comes up and gives me the people that everyone knows, right? That are saying the same exact shit all the time. And that's not what this is about. I want to get stories out of people that aren't just going with the grain, going with the current, right? I want to hear people that are real people, that are doing real things, that have actually accomplished something in their life other than, posting a bunch of fucking platitude tweets. Now, you guys know this guy as DT Fitness. He is he's sober for 14 months, which we're definitely going to talk about that. But more importantly, he is my Twitter son and someone that, I hate the motherfucker about half the time, but he's now someone who I consider one of my best friends. And I'm gonna start it off with this right here, man. So we do this every single day. You and I go back and forth either on text, phone calls, or on Twitter. Stepping back over the last few months, how much fun has it been for you to go down memory lane and see those pictures of you from your childhood?
It's been good. A lot of those memories I would have forgotten about if it weren't for, you keeping photos. People don't know this. I lost a phone in 2015. And I never have had social media before Twitter. So like my life starts at 2015. Everything beyond that, I don't have a lot of pictures and stuff. So it's been really good connecting with you to get those memories back. Do you think we should go through a quick sponsor?
We got to be careful
talk about our sponsors.
Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about it, Kerry Gold. I appreciate you having the props, motherfucker. I got them too.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about my butter obsession because I think you think that I'm more obsessed with butter than I really am. We can discuss that.
You are obsessed with butter, but yeah, we can get to that in a minute.
Yeah, so and one thing we did, I'm going to show you guys how well I raised this fucking guy. I told him he is not to speak until he's fucking spoken to, right? So this nonsense of him just chiming up, I told him he could get some of that, but we're going to stop that shit here pretty quick. No, guys, for real. Now, listen, I've got all these amazing pictures of him, and I know how real they look. I know that you see those and you think, man, holy shit, that really may be his kid. But realistically, we only became aware of each other's existence in this world in about March, okay? Now, it's funny because everyone knows that you and I are both born and raised in Kentucky, okay? Now, here's something that if you don't live in Kentucky, you don't understand. You are from more central western Kentucky, okay? North Central, I'm sorry, yeah, I am from southeastern Kentucky, okay? The differences in lifestyle, when you're a Kentuckian, that you might as well be from different ends of the fucking planet, right? Let me ask you this, man. How would you describe your beliefs? And I probably have put a fucking lot of them. I've probably shown you how true they are. What did you grow up thinking and believing about people from the southeastern corner of the state in the coal fields?
Oh, fucking hillbillies, man. I mean, it's funny for one guy from Kentucky to call another guy from Kentucky is kind of just bullshit because we're all damn hillbillies and stuff from the hollers. But yeah, man, I dated a girl years and years ago that lived in far eastern Kentucky, and I remember I visited her a few times, and man, it's like moving to a different country down in there, dude. Like they got elk walking around, and coal mining is pretty much the only thing you got going on down there, and then the other thing that's kind of neat is like all the cities seem to be in a I guess like a valley or a holler, as we would call them. And that's where everything just, builds up, and then people just scatter out and live in the hills, man. It's wild down there.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a different place. It's a very simple life, but I tell you too, man, I mean, it's the difference is that you go across the state of Kentucky, I think, because there's really two things, right? You've got the farming industry for much of the state's farming or
yeah, West Kentucky for sure, and even some of Central too. It's got some pretty good sized farms on it.
Yeah, and then we've got the coal mines in the east. So yeah. I think one thing that's in common is the blue collar roots, right? I think work ethic. Yeah. I think for the most part, it's funny because much of the state, especially where I'm from like 98% is below the poverty line, right? But I mean, much of the state is, I mean, it's not one of the more wealthy states, but there's some amazing parts. But I haven't known a whole lot of people, especially that are from there, that got out, that aren't afraid to do a little bit of work.
No, not at all. And it's funny because we were talking before we got out of here, and I knew this already, but your dad was a coal miner. My dad, growing up, we ran a dairy farm. So, like, dude, hard work and 7 days a week is just all we knew, And I think that bled over a lot into our adult lives, and probably, I think, had a lot to do with why we are the way we are as adults in our 40s,
Yeah, man. It's funny. I posted right before we got on that, hey guys, I want to let you guys know I have slept 8 hours. But the flip side of that is that 8 hours has been 4 hours on Tuesday, 0 hours on Wednesday, and I slept about 4 last night.
What's that? Yeah, what?
Yeah, come on. And then when I walk up on you. Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, so guys,
I'm back.
Yeah, he's at a nudist colony right now, and down in Florida. So there's no telling what kind of shit we've got. My big concern is that he's gonna have some guy walk up that's totally naked, and I got to be careful with this. I mean, I don't have the adult subscription here, so keep those guys and keep yourself clothed, okay?
Is that a thing, boys? Is that a thing?
What's that? Staying clothed?
2 versions. No, is there 2 versions of YouTube? I don't use YouTube a lot.
Yeah, I think the other one's called YouPorn, but I don't think they're owned by the same people. I'd be surprised.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So like I said, I've slept 8 hours finally, but that's not over the last 24 hours. That's over about the last 72 hours. You and I talk about it a lot. We joke about it. We mention it, and a lot of people think we're joking, right? Why do you think that about 95% of Twitter is absolutely obsessed with, we got to sleep 8 hours a night?
Man, I don't know. It's a good question. And I've got a Fitbit that I wear every night. So, like, it tracks it. I don't know how accurate it is, but I average somewhere around 5 hours and something, 5 to 5.5, which for me is plenty. But man, a lot of these guys, yeah, they would lead you to believe that you need 7, 8, or some of these guys are even out there pushing 9 and 10 hours now. And I don't know. I just don't have that kind of time on my hands personally. So I don't know, man. I just make it work in 5. And I think too, like, once you condition your body, here's the thing I'll say. Once you condition your body, whatever conditions, whether you're running in heat, you're running on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep, whatever, like, your body adjusts. And a lot of people don't want to put in the work to get to that adjustment, right? They just want what's easy. Well, it's easy to sleep 8 hours. It's easy to, to run inside on a treadmill. That's another thing I think we harp on. It's like, oh, it's too hot where I'm at, I got to run on a treadmill. Like, no, man, it's not. Your body's not going to die. I mean, you got to condition up to it. You can't just walk out there today if you've never done it and, go run for an hour, but you can get there. And I think a lot of people they want easy street, man. And that's what a lot of what we're seeing on Twitter, is people that want to just preach and push that easy street and, just do a little bit and just, ease into it. And it's fine for some, but it's just not where I'm at. I don't think it's where America needs to be. Really.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of pride and comfort, right? I mean, that's one thing that surprises me is, and I guess it's mostly mindset, right? A lot of people are just, they're like, it's funny. They brag about taking the fucking easy way, right? They, especially a lot of these coaches, right? And I look, it's their brand. I mean, let's look at this right here. You've got Joe Jackass that hadn't done anything in forever, right? And you got me and you yelling, motherfucker, get your ass out here and run 4 or 5, 6 miles in this heat. Hey, or you know what? You didn't sleep last night? Ah, fucking good. It's not good because you get a day off. It's good because you get to test your body in suboptimal conditions. It's easy to work out when you feel fucking great. It's easy to work out when you're well rested. But man, when you got a fucking sick kid that cried all night, or you got, you had to stay extra 6 hours at work, man, that's when you fucking most need to train, man. I mean, instead of looking for comfort and embracing the easy route, and there's so much pride in it, man. I just don't understand it, right? I agree with you. I think America needs to hear, man, listen, life is not fucking easy. We've had it real easy for a long time, but things are starting to change a little bit. And man, I just wonder, I don't think a lot of these people are going to make it.
Yeah, well, and I think too, let's touch on this, man. A lot of these guys are out there. They're selling workout programs, which is fine. Everybody's got to make a living. I get that. But it is much easier to sell a product if it comes with this, hey, you only have to do 2 or 3 days a week in the gym, or, you know, you've only got to do 30 minutes a day, or, you know, we're going to transform you in 4 weeks or something like that. And it's just bullshit at the end of the day, because, you know, people get into that for that period and then they fall back off and they're in this vicious cycle. And it's like, well, I don't know why I can't accomplish these goals. And it's like, man, you got to shift how you think, right? You got to get more into it. You got to get intense about it. And that's kind of our thing. And I think too, like, we're building somewhat of a following, and there's a lot of other people out there. I know you get it a lot from time to time. I get it as well, where we'll send out a tweet and then it's kind of getting in your face type thing. And you get somebody that pops back and says, you know what, I saw this and fucking, I'm going to the gym today, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that because I saw what you said. I mean, you get that a lot. So like, that's kind of what keeps me going in all this, is just knowing that there are people out there that need to hear a tough message.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you know, it gets frustrating. You know, it's nothing bothers me more than seeing that. Like, guys, right now, sometimes you don't always have to be working hard. You know, it's okay to not go after PRs and this and this and this. And of neither of us ever said that there are lower times of intensity or volume. There just has to be.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But
right.
I think the problem is 99% of people aren't working too fucking hard. It's the opposite, right? No. So I tell you this, I mean, when it comes down to it, I refuse to fucking believe the problem is knowledge on what to do, okay? The problem is having the fucking mindset to say, you know what, I got to stop being a little bitch and I need to go get this done, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, there's guys that sell programs, right? They want you to help you change your body. So if fucking 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 8 buy this shit and they have some level of success, they're 100% okay with that, man. I don't think you or I are that way. I think, like, man, if I'm working with somebody and they're not a fucking mentally different person after 6, 8, 12 weeks or whatever, dude, I feel like I have fucking failed. I don't take pride in, hey, I sold 500 programs last month and I can show you 3 fucking testimonials. Man, fuck that, right? My testimonial comes from knowing that, like, I don't even give a fuck. I don't even talk about it, man. I keep a lot of privacy with my clients, right? But yeah, man, and that's it's not jealousy, motherfucker. I've already got a life, right? I don't need to do this shit. I choose to do it, right? So, I mean, you know, I don't know, man. I just think, like, I look at it as a bigger problem. That, again, it's not that people don't know what to do, and it's not that they're doing too fucking much, right? It's that there's this virtue in victimhood, right? We see it every single day, man. So yeah. Well,
and I think it's a lack of accountability too, right? Like, you've got these guys that hop from program to program to program, and they're always looking for another one. And what they just need is somebody to just stay on their ass. You know, like, you skip today, why? You're going to skip tomorrow? No, you're not. You're going to get back in there and get back after it. And again, not preaching you got to go 7 days a week. I don't think that works for most people, right? But for me, and I know you're the same way, if I were to miss a day, and usually it's related to travel or some kind of crazy schedule where I'm just not able to do a whole lot, like, it impacts me mentally, right? And it makes me feel a certain way that I don't like. And so that's why I do it, but I know not everybody's like that.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. And it's funny because I would say that's probably a couple of things, right? I don't want this to go that big old fucking head of yours, okay? But that's a big effect that mine and your relationship has had on me is, dude, there are plenty of fucking days where I'm like, listen, I have zero reason to be up at 4 a.m. I don't have to. I've got fucking calls and shit. I could get up at fucking 9 or 10 or whatever. I have zero reason to be up. But now it's like you push me to say, I gotta do more of that motherfucker, right? I've got, and there's times I'm like, and that's the big thing about Twitter is there's times I'm like, dude, I don't feel like going out here running 105 degrees, but you know what? Yeah. Hey, it first off, it sucks. I've never regretted it. You know, I mean, I know fucking your buddy Iron Will and Jason Hales, those guys regretted it. They walked out to the car and about fucking died, right? But I'm a little better conditioned than those bitches are. But I mean, that's one thing with you is you push me like, dude, I know for a fact, this is funny. I wake up and once in a blue moon, I wake up and I'm like, well, it's called I was up till 2 o'clock, right? And I look down and I'm like, it's fucking 5:30. I know when I open my phone up, I don't even want to look at my phone, man. I'm like, fuck it, I need to get on today. I know what I'm about to face, right? So I don't use an alarm, but dude, if I wake up within fucking shouting distance of fucking 4 a.m., it's rise and goddamn shine, brother. So I appreciate that in a way, in a sick, sadistic, demented way.
You bet, dude. No, it's a two-way street. I was telling Chris Ray, we were going back and forth in some comments last night, and I got done with my 4 miles yesterday, and heat down here is pretty intense. There's a lot. I think there's more humidity, and I don't know, the heat's maybe 90 degrees, but with humidity, it's over 100 heat index. And I somehow had stopped my phone. The map my run had stopped at 3.5 miles, something like that. And I was like, shit. I was like, not like Boyd's gonna, come in here and check this. I was like, I got to get my 4 miles in. So I went and ran another half mile so that I had 4 miles recordable. And again, it's not one of those things where you're like, hey, send me your stuff for the day, or I'm doing the same thing to you. But it's just that thing where we bounce it back off and forth with each other to where there's this programming of accountability. We know the other one's going to talk shit, if we don't give it 110%, man. It drives me too, dude. It's going to drive me to go. I haven't got my running yet. I did a lift at Gold's this morning, but I'm going to go get another 4 or 5 mile run in here after we get wrapped up with this, because I just can't not do it,
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, and you live in Louisville, which is a little different, right? But going into my first Ironman, I had been running down here, and I'd only run once to 20 miles, right? And I was like, fuck, man. I was like, and it was hard. It was a hard run at that point. And it was a brutal fucking day. It was like it is right now. We're in like record-breaking heat right now here. And I remember I went in, it was last weekend of September, first weekend of October, and I went to Owensboro for a wedding. And dude, it was still like 95 when I left here. And I got up there, and I remember I woke up the next day, man, and the high was gonna be like 78, 79. And right off the highway, obviously, where Owensboro's out. And dude, I went out. Man, I went out, ran 14 miles, dude. And that was when it hit me. I was like, that fucking crucible, that heat and that humidity, man, I said, oh, dude, fucking Arizona's going to be a piece of cake. And although I took it easy on the marathon in Arizona, dude, training in this heat and this humidity gets you ready. When it's moderate, man, and that's a big part of that, right? Because training when you're tired and you haven't slept compared to when you sleep, man, that's the easy part, right? I mean, and that's why I do this, is because when things are fucking perfect, in that rare situation, man, I know that I can, I'm going to be able to perform.
Well, let's talk about like stacking the mental gains too. Like, we do this because there's physical benefits, yes, but training in the heat, training when you're tired. For me, I do 1 to 2 leg days a week. That next day, when you go for that run, like it hurts, right? Like until you get going and get that first 1 or 2 miles knocked off, like it hurts. But I think in doing that, it hardens your mind for life, right? So that if you're on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and some shit happens at work, or you got an ex giving you shit, whatever the case is, like you're ready for that, right? Because you've got that mindset that's been hardened and chiseled out of steel. So I think that for guys looking at us like, well, why do you do that? Is it just for the physical benefits? No, there's physical, but there's also these mental benefits that you can't put a price tag on, man. And it just helps you get through life.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. So, it's funny because the big positivity guys and the big the mindset guys, they take a lot of pride in coming on and saying, well, today somebody said something to me and my kids or some shit like that. And to me, man, I'm like, dude, that wouldn't even register on my fucking radar. First off, right? I mean, somebody said something to one of my fucking kids in front of me, dude, I may be calling you to freaking send Western Union, right? And I'm not saying that to be tough, but my point is a lot of shit, right? I go through shit just like everybody else, but I'm not on here fucking crying about it, right? And and a lot of that is because, dude, what I do to myself, what I choose to put myself through for no fucking reason. I'm not a pro athlete. I'm never going to be a pro athlete. I don't want to be a pro athlete. Everything I do, all the physical shit I do is to make my mind harder when shit hits the fan. When you're faced with, you find out someone you deeply care about has cancer or commits suicide, or, and listen, man, I'm not saying that I would be fucking 100% prepared to handle that, but I think I'm going to be a little better with it than I would be otherwise. Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and
mental hardiness.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an extreme case, right? But let's talk about the day-to-day shit, man. People, you lose your fucking job, you make a bad financial investment, somebody wakes up, dude, dude, you wake up and the person you're in love with says, I'm not in love anymore, right? That happens, and it fucks people up, right?
That part doesn't happen to me, boy.
It's never happened to you. Well, listen, here's the funny thing is, and I remember when you were young asking me about mom. To be the truth is, I don't know. I never figured out exactly who your mother was. Okay. So I just don't know. I wish I could fucking give you that, right? Because I know that's haunting you. And and I just don't understand now at 40 fucking years old, or you're about to be 41. Why are you still asking me to fucking breastfeed? I'm not.
Yeah, that's got to be tough when women fall out of love with you, man. How's that feel?
Oh, dude. Well, hey, man, it doesn't feel good. You know what? So I'm like, hey, man, sucks. Lace it up. I got to go hit this fucking street, bro. I got to go run, right? So, yeah, I mean, I got a way to cope with it at least, right?
Exactly.
Well, one thing I won't go do is just start going drinking my ass off, right? And that's something that really, really impresses me about you. I mean, it makes me proud of you as my friend. Okay. So right now, I know you just passed 14 months sober. I know that because at your 1 year mark, I went out and knocked out a fucking half for you. Right.
Yeah, you did.
You talk about,
that.
No, man, that was, dude, I had more to carry because I did not want to fucking do that. Talk about my sleep deprivation. I was pretty sleep deprived that weekend too. It was a rough day. But tell me, man, let's talk about that, man. Sober energy. Explain what that means. And, let's chat about that for a little bit, because I think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you said something in Ren McDonald, not Ryan.
It's Ren. No, it's Ren.
No, that guy, man. I feel like you bring it up on the podcast. I'm like, motherfucker, you think I didn't feel bad about that?
You should, man. Do your research next time. Know how to pronounce somebody's name.
Man, you know what? So I'm sorry, Ren. I think he's forgiven me. You're the only motherfucker that holds a grudge like I do, because that's hereditary. But let's talk about that, man. You had a comment in there that I absolutely love, right? You said, amongst other things, led into it. You said, now I'm a morning person. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So I would kind of self-describe myself as having an addictive personality. I'm not big on labels. People want to call you an addict or an alcoholic, but like anything that I get into, I get addicted to, right? So back when I was drinking, which let's talk about that just in a really quick nutshell. I think we see a lot of things on Twitter. It's like, hey man, I was this bad drunk and this bad alcoholic. And then when I turned 20, I quit. Like, man, you were just in college, right? Like,
shit.
You and I were career drunks. I mean, I drank until I was 39 years old. I started when I was either 13 or 14. I don't even remember the first time I had a drink, because that's just what you did. When you grew up in a small rural town in Kentucky, it was easy to get liquor, right? And kids were kids and boys were doing dumb shit. So like, we kind of got our start early. But yeah, you go through that and your schedule becomes much different, right, after you quit drinking. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. Is initially it started with insomnia. So like when I first quit, it was April of 2021 when I stopped, and I thought, oh man, like I used to get shit sleep, right? Because I would drink until I was blacked out. So it wasn't sleep, it was passing out, right? You'd wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. You're like, what the fuck? Where am I? What's going on? What happened last night? And then you couldn't go back to sleep. And I thought, man, when I quit drinking, that's going to go away and I'm just going to sleep for 8 hours magically. It was not the case at all. Like I had this terrible insomnia. So I just started getting up, and I'd wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning or something like that. And I just start going and working out. I'd do a run, do some strength training. My gym doesn't open until 5, unfortunately. But as that started to kind of progress on, and I got, a couple of months under my belt, that became my new routine, right? And I know that morning routines aren't for everybody. And there's this whole segment of Twitter and people that bash the 5 a.m. workout people. There's 4 and 3 a.m. There's a guy that follows us, JJ, that does like 3 a.m. Like by the time I get up, he's done. He's walking out of the gym. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. But that's what works for him. What works for us is 5 a.m. or 6 or whatever it is that you're doing. So I think once you get into that cycle and that energy that comes from, getting that morning workout in and just how it sets you up for success throughout the rest of the day, it makes it much easier when you get to an evening I went out to Nashville 2 nights ago, drinking everywhere. The person with me was drinking as well. Did I want to have a drink? No, I didn't, because I knew I had to get up early the next day. I knew what I had in front of me. At this point in my life, like, alcohol doesn't fit into it because it impacts my training, right? And that's, the training is bigger than, anything else that I'm doing. So I think that's been one of the things that's a little bit easier for me to kind of keep into it now. But I'm not going to discount how hard that is for guys in the first 90 days that want to maybe fall back off. But man, my message here is this: like, if you can make it through that first 30, 60, 90 days, you will see this different side of yourself and this different level of energy. And I hear it from a lot of guys that have quit, for 3 and 6 months. Like, yeah, man, I'm like woke up this new person, and started some new routines and things like that. So I think that the key to quitting is just have some physical challenges in front of you. For you and I, it was a little easier because we had some mental fortitude going into this. I'm not saying that if you can't quit drinking that you're weak mentally. That's not the case at all. But you've got to have something on the other side of it that you're either working towards or that you're living for. For us, it was being good dads or better dads than what we were, which that makes it a little bit easier, I think, right, to quit something if you've got this goal and this thing that you're working towards.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, having a why is everything, right? And and that's funny. You said 90 days. It's really funny because, dude, I don't want to paint a picture here that it's easier than it is. Because it sounds easy to quit, right? Motherfucker, right. I get it. And while there's plenty of hereditary jokes and shit to make, I'm an addicted motherfucker too, right? Whatever I do, it may be the motherfucker that's going to sleep the less. I'll show you motherfuckers how little I'll sleep, right? I mean, dude, for me, like, training for a sprint triathlon was never a case. I'm not knocking them, right? Because I think they're fun. I think it's something to get people motivated to do something. Dude, I had to go to Ironman. That was the first one I ever signed up for. Now, I did a sprint, right? Because I was curious, but I'd already signed up. I've been signed up for Ironman for fucking 6 months before I did that sprint, right? So I agree with that. I mean, number one, having a why, and in our case, it happens to be our children, right? And not passing on. For me, I mean, dude, you're 100% right, dude. I started drinking consistently. I want to say 15. It may have been 14. I know I started nipping a little bit at 14. So we had bootleggers, right? They'd go by, because I was in a dry county or a moist county. So they would go to the other end of the county and buy the shit in Cumberland, right across from Whitesburg is where your girlfriend was from, right? Or Williamsburg or Whitesburg.
Whitesburg.
Yeah, Whitesburg's on the other side of Letcher County, over across from Cumberland, right? So I grew up just outside, down from Cumberland. So I couldn't go to Cumberland and buy, because they carded. But the bootlegger, dude, I will never forget this. She walked out. She was 100 years old, and she said, "Whose boy are you?" I am like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble. Yeah. I told her, because I'm fucking stupid, and she goes, "Okay, yeah, good man." Goes back in and brings me whatever I asked for. It was $5 a 6-pack of Tall Boy Bush.
There you go.
You could get Kessler's, Kentucky Gentleman, Tavarsky vodka, which is fucking dog shit, or Seagram 7, right? Of all those four, bro, Seagram 7 was like fucking Buffalo Creek compared to those other ones, right? So
yeah, it really is.
So, dude, we'd go to McDonald's and pour that shit in and ride around with our buddies, right? So by the time I was 16, I had access to it. And and the fact that I never killed myself, and I got buddies that did, brother. The fact that I never killed myself because I couldn't go home, fucked up. I'd drive around, which is fucked up, man. And I beg my kid, like, dude, if you need to drink, I want you to do it right here. I mean, I don't want him drinking every night. No, but here's the deal. I know 100%. That motherfucker's going to do it, right?
Right.
And I'm not going to get into, like, is that the best parenting? You want to freaking hopefully steer them away and keep them occupied, dude. Yeah. But my son has a lot. My actual blood genetic son, not you, the gypsy kid. He has that same obsession. I see it like when he finds something, like when he became obsessed with the fucking guitar, dude, he turned into Eddie Van Halen, right? It was wild. And he fucking grew his hair all out and shit. He looks like a little goth ass freaking Eddie. He looks like Smashing Pumpkins or whatever, right? Right. He's like, he might as well be in Seattle in '93. But I can absolutely attest to that, having that why and having that thing on the other end. Now, here's one other part I want to go on that. Alex Cherry touched on this, and he's telling about his story. But a lot of people say 21 days to a habit, right? And then you said 30 to 60, 30 to 90, right? And here's the deal. You've got, the only way through it is to go through it, right? You don't get to 6 months without being at 7 days, 21 days, right? But Alex talked about this. He talked about it takes 5 or 6 months for the wiring to fucking change. And he explained it. And I'm, my southeastern Kentucky ass can't tell you. I think you probably went to like Louisville, Mel, or fucking Henry County, so you probably have the term. It's neuro something, right? Basically, your shit rewires and grows back.
Neurotransmitters, maybe.
No, there's a term, neuroplasticity or some shit. It's not like some shit you would mumble. Then who knows if it's fucking accurate? If Alex said it, I do believe it. If you said it, I'll be like, man, that motherfucker's making shit up again. But I know this, man. When you get to that 5 or 6 month mark, it's completely different. Now, what happens is, I think for a lot of guys, is I know a lot of guys that have made it 6 months to a year. I did it, right? You fall off and you feel like, so you're here, right? And you fall, and you fall to here, right? But in your mind, you fall.
You're bottomed out. Yeah.
So now you're like, well, fuck, man, that's a year down the drain. Might as well get fucked up. And it starts over and over again. And you're a drunk until you're not, right? So then you're like, it's hard to get out of it, man. So how have you managed to, 14 months, dude, that's there. As an adult, I've never gone 14 months without fucking alcohol. How have you managed to do that, man?
So I should probably add, I fell off several times before I got to this point. And I think that's a very common thing that we see in a lot of guys our age. Like, I dabbled in it. I did dry January or whatever the case may be. So I did 6 months in 2012. These are just from memory. In 2020, I did, I think, about 90 days. And then COVID came. We all got, shipped out of work. We couldn't go into the office and we were locked up and just went crazy, which we'll talk about that later. Dude, COVID wrecked a lot of guys and ladies as well. Man, it really wrecked some people with drinking. I think the way that I got to 14 months, again, it was this reprogramming of my brain of sorts. And I talk about this a little bit in the book that I wrote. The first 90 days, I did 2 miles of running every single day, and it was a non-negotiable. So like if I had a work event or, travel or whatever it is, I was going to get it in. I remember one night I went out at, I was running like a 9-minute mile. So it was 11:42 or whatever it is, before midnight. And I had 18 minutes to get this fucking 2 miles in before the clock struck and it was the next day. And I did it, man. I got done like 11:59 in 30 seconds or whatever it was. So that reprogramming was critical. So from that 90 days, I moved into some other different challenges and I got a little bit more into some weightlifting and things like that. But I just think having those physical challenges in front of you, and also I'll just be real, like I skipped out on some social events, right? Like I have a really good group of buddies that I grew up with and still call them my homies to this day. There's not a one of them I wouldn't go hang out with right now if they asked me to, even though I know they're going to drink heavy and I'm not. Like they understand, like we just got that relationship. But during that early period, that first 6 months, and maybe even during that first year, like I was a little bit more selective in some of the things that I would attend. And I had a lot of stuff going on, right? I was doing training and things like that. So it wasn't like I didn't have time for them. It's just, you have to be a little bit more careful during that period, especially around people that, might tend to derail you. And I know some others on here have talked about their social circle just totally shifted, right? Like they were running around with what we might call, the wrong crowd or something like that. So there's actually people that they've maybe had to remove from their life. And in doing that, I think that you replace them with new friends. The other thing I'll hit on real quick is I started Twitter in November of 21. So I was probably, I'm not good with math, boy, because I'm from Kentucky. What is that from April? 7 months, maybe?
From April to November, 5 months?
11 minus 4 is 7.
No, what are you talking about? No, that's not the way you do it, dumbass. Are you talking about April 21 or April 22?
April 21 to November 21. Good God. Anyway, 6 or 7 months in is when I started the Twitter account. And I didn't start it as like this sober thing. Like that, there wasn't any part of it. It's like, I like doing fitness shit. And that's kind of what I did. I was posting some workout tips and videos, whatever. And, well, for train of thought, I got guys painting in this place I'm at, and I'm in some golf course community. So there's dudes like, there's this water feature out here, and they just keep slicing balls into this fucking pond out here.
So wait. So what you're telling me is you're getting distracted from watching men and balls flying all around you. That's so fucking typical. I'm just glad you didn't show up wearing that negligee again.
That is correct. I am, for the record, I'm wearing shorts. So yeah, so 6-7 months in is when I started the Twitter account. So again, this wasn't by design, but I ended up using that almost like an accountability type thing, or just kind of as a platform. Like I started talking about my journey and stuff like that, and connecting with some other guys, Joey Devlin, for example, that was a little bit further in his sober journey. So like once you start to surround yourself, and this is way before I knew who you were, like once you surround yourself with the right people, I think you start to, again, going back to the neuroplasticity transmitters that we all have in our brain, like you start to rewire those, right, in a way that makes it really hard for you to fall off. And to this day, again, I'm around alcohol almost every single time I go out anywhere. It doesn't tempt me. It doesn't strike me as something that I'm going to do, because again, I said earlier, it doesn't fit into my life. But I know damn well, for some people, again, the social drinkers, they'll never understand. It's like, dude, I don't get it. Why can't you just have 1 to 2 drinks? Bro, you don't understand. If I have 1 to 2 drinks, I'm going to fucking crush an 18-pack. I'm going to go do some dumbass shit, and we're going to be in for hell, right? Like, you guys don't want me having Twitter when I'm drinking. Like, it will not be good. I'll be banned every day. It won't be good at all. Terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, man. So you can imagine me too on that, right? So like, y'all get the fucking sober version, and that sober version wakes up at 1 or 2 in the morning and says, fuck it, right? Or just on a Friday night, somebody, I get pissed off and I see somebody I don't like, and I call somebody out on it. And I'm not just an adversarial person. And I'm like, that's funny. When I drink, I'm not the fighting drunk, right? But I'm the same way. I'm the same fucking way. So, but there's a bunch of stuff there, and I was taking notes when you were saying it. But a couple things is, man, you can't be sober if you're drinking. Right? No, I can't. I got the crayon over here, right? You can't be sober if you're drinking. And I think that's important because, dude, I know this. When I gotta be clean, I've got some spots I cannot fucking hang out at, because I'm gonna say, yeah, go ahead, bring me that Shiner Brock, bring me that whatever, bring me that Jack and Coke or whatever, right? I know that. I know that about me. And it was crazy, man, because I know I wanted to stop drinking for so long. And on my way home from work, there were 3 spots, bro, that could get me, right? There's a sports bar right outside of the community I worked at.
Okay.
And then, like, I'd get through that, dude, that red light sucked ass, bro. And sometimes it was just easier to pull in and have a drink, right? And then I got a little close to the house, and there was a spot where all, like, the local, like, people around my neighborhood stuff hung out. And it was a good time, right? And I had to get past that. So what I figured out, I had to turn right before that and go, like, through this little neighborhood. And it took me fucking about 10 minutes extra to get home, right? And then finally, at the top of my neighborhood up here, there's a fucking Mexican restaurant, dude. I can take a golf cart there. I can walk there. It's 0.6 miles from my house, right? I've walked home from that fucking place more times with my truck sitting in the parking lot. Fuck this, I ain't driving, because it's right in the same parking lot as a police station. Right. So, so my thing was I had to remove that. So it wasn't so much going in them. I had to get past the fucking things. If I went in, I knew I was in fucking trouble, right? So I think that's very important. And you can get to a spot where you don't need that. And then again, like the people that drink 1 or 2 or whatever, dude, that ain't me. That's not me. I have zero chance of, I would even waste the fucking calories on that. Dude, I'm gonna go ahead and drink. I'm gonna go ahead and drink a 30, right? I'm gonna get fucked up. I'm gonna black out. And I'm not like blacking out where I'm at, but I'll drink, 14, 16 out at the bar. Come on to the house. Now I got 12 in the fridge. Fuck it. There is a fucking fresh 18-pack in my fridge that I've had in there for a minute, right? I wish somebody would drink the fucking thing, but it's like, I'm like, so I get that. And I haven't been perfect. I had about a 6-month spell, and I've had a few weekends where I was like, I fucking had some drinks. And luckily, I haven't gone completely off the fucking rails, because now, today, you and I'm 99 days out from Ironman Waco. And you're 100 days out from Waco 73. And I'm also 100 days out from Waco 73. So I'm doing both of them, right? So let me, and that's one thing I want to touch on, because you talked about coming on Twitter, meeting the right people, meeting Joy Devlin. And I saw the picture of you guys on the ranch in the cowboy hat. That was inspiring. Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about the power of creating a tribe and some of the experiences you've had or you're signed up for?
Yeah, for sure. You want me to get experiences like Ironman thing or the groups and stuff like that?
I mean, the groups, I mean, all of it, because
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it's very similar. And, you know, me and Chris have
Yeah.
our thing we're doing. So, yeah, let's talk about all of it, man.
All right. So we'll go back to, again, started Twitter in November. I connected with Joey probably that same month. I think it was around Thanksgiving. He had a tweet out there, and he was starting this men's retreat, right, out in Arizona, which is where he lives. And I was kind of reading through it, you know, the stuff that they did. And I was like, man, I'm at this point. I was, 7 months in at that point from sobriety. I was like, that sounds like something kind of cool, connect with some other dudes, meet some other guys. And the thing was, I knew that Joey was sober, and like these retreats were alcohol and drug free. Like, you're not going out there to get fucked up. It's not some big party. So I was like, yeah, that's something I've never done before. It's a little outside of my comfort zone, but yeah, let's give it a go. So I went out there, met Joey, a guy named Rob, Josh, and Griggs, actually Ryan Griggs. He's on Twitter as well. He's pretty active in the space, and great group of dudes. Like, we had a really good time. We did a bunch of hiking. We did a bunch of just sitting around in this very similar setting to what you and I are doing here, having this chat, but there was 5 of us there and just sharing some stuff about our life, like what we're struggling with, what's gone right, what's not going right, how can we lean on each other. And it was kind of the first time I think I've really placed myself in anything that resembles therapy. And again, no one here in this group is licensed as a psychologist or anything like that. It's just dudes being dudes and sharing their stories. And like, these things get some hate on Twitter, these retreats and these men's groups and things like this. Man, those dudes, I talk to those dudes all the time. Like, I'm really close to most all of them at this point. Even how many ever months later we are, we're both bad with math, so we won't calculate how far that out. But that was in January. Connected with Zach Hommel. He had just an online group, kind of like what we're doing here. We had Zoom calls once a week, and I think there was 15 of us in there. Man, we just developed this crazy amount of energy. And again, it wasn't all dudes that were trying to do the same things. I mean, there were some dudes in there, and it's at different points in their lives, and talked a lot about values and, the things that drive us as men. And again, it comes back to that word that you mentioned of tribe, right? And connecting with dudes that are trying to make themselves better. And I think that's the key here, right? Like, everybody's free to associate and hang out with the people that they want, but let's just be real. The core group that you surround yourself with, your closest 5 to 10 bros, if you've got that many, maybe for some it's even less, 3 or less, that's who's going to shape not only where you're at today, but where you're at 5 years from now and where you're at 10 years from now, right out into the future. So from there, these connections just start building, right? I connected with all of these guys, and then the Twitter following grew a little bit and started to connect with some other guys like Caleb, Ryan. I think he's another guy doing Waco. And before we even signed up with it, I vividly remember you tweeting something out, and I maybe have known you, I followed you for a week or two or something like that. And you sent this tweet and it said like, hey, DT Fitness just signed up for Waco, or is getting ready to sign up for Waco 70.3. I'm like, the fuck I am? Like, what is this about? Like, I hadn't even pulled the trigger on it yet. And in my mind, I'm sitting there going, like, I can run pretty decent. I know I can bike. I think I either just had bought a bike or hadn't bought it yet. But I was like, I can't swim worth a shit. Like, that's crazy. There's no way I'm going to do that. And through the bantering back and forth, and I think just seeing some of the stuff that you were doing and some of the stuff that Caleb was pushing through and just all these other guys out, there's a bunch of them doing one in November. And I was kind of watching the camaraderie that was forming there. I was like, man, I want to be a part of that, right? I don't want to be on the sidelines and the guy that's like, oh, that looks really cool. Yeah, someday I should do that. No, man, I wanted to throw myself into that. So I signed up for it not too long after you gave me shit for weeks about not being signed up for it. But I jumped into it before I really understood like the full extent of what those distances meant, the cutoffs, things like that. I didn't have any idea about the gear. I had a bike when I did sign up for it, but like I didn't know anything about it. So I think there's something to be said about that tribe that can be built. Again, it doesn't have to be on Twitter. That just happens to be the space that we're in. But I don't associate with a lot of guys who are like, yeah, man, I'm in this Facebook group and it's really great. Like, we've got this great camaraderie. I don't know that exists outside of Twitter. I know it's not on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. I just think that Twitter really does a really good job of connecting dudes. I don't know on the ladies' side if there's chick groups out there. I wish there was for their sake, because I know they could benefit from it. But I do know there's a lot of different tribes being built on the Twitter space, especially for guys.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because a couple things there. I mean, it's tribe, but the peer pressure for tribe is a motherfucker. So I think,
Oh, hell.
yeah, so it's funny because, like I say, my friend Daniel, my friend, like, dude, I fucking talk about you guys when I'm around people that aren't on Twitter,
Yeah.
and they have, and I mean, if I explain, I was the guy I met on Twitter, they think, that I was, we're coming out on Pride Month, right, last month. So it's funny because that, like, dude, like, I consider I mean, I talk between texting, I talk more to you and Mikkel Dookie Butter than I text with anybody else, right? So about going back to the Waco thing, I noticed those guys were doing the one in Florida, I was like, man. So it was funny how that started. Well, first off, you and I had just started following each other. You had reached out to me and asked me how I got my videos to be clear. Now I'm on my laptop right now, which isn't as clear as my phone, but that's how you and I started talking, right? Yep. And I went through your feed and I saw you had this fucking really beautiful white Cervelo. And I love Cervelo bikes, right? I was like, I like this guy. So I didn't know Caleb from Adam, and he and I, he said something, he likes to tag people in his photos, right? So he tagged me in his photo, and I fucking replied to that with the registration form for Waco 70.3. Dude, yeah. I'll never forget this. Fucking 4 minutes later, if it was a minute, this motherfucker's posting his confirmation for sign up. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, dude, I didn't say a word to him. I replied with a registration link, and he replied with "done, chief" or something. You're like, "done, boss." Yeah. I was like, what the fuck have I done? So then I thought, man, hit that guy up with that Cervelo. That motherfucker's probably serious. You in? But it's fucking crazy to me is now it started with just us, right? And we were all bantery talking shit, right? And he had his, Caleb knew Ryan Willer. He signed up, right? So we had a score. And then, dude, people that I never communicated with or whatever started fucking sending me, I'm in, signed up, right? Yeah. We got, Mike Zudik, he signed up. Fucking Mark Collins, that fucking guy calls me and he and I do a coaching session about just light fitness stuff, man. Didn't even fucking tell me he ever thought about doing an Ironman. And now that joker signed up for 210.9, non-fucking cancel. He's like, nah, bitch, I'm burning the boats, which is fucking mind-blowing. It is. And then we've got what John, the coach of McNeese State University. I mean, he signed up and he and I talk a little bit. And then we got Paulo, and we got freaking my guy. And I mean, I'm terrible right now with names all of a sudden.
Is Brian Gates doing it? I think he's in too.
Is Gates in? No, I'm pretty sure he's doing it. He's running the ultra. Man, what's my guy? Jeremy Rainey.
Hey, you need sleep.
No, I don't. Like Jeremy Rainey. That's probably it, actually. Jeremy Rainey's doing it. Great guy. Like he starts telling me, man, like he and I did a call together and he starts telling me like what he's doing. And I'm like, dude, why the fuck are you just doing the 70.3? So I wouldn't be surprised, Rainey, if you're watching this, I wouldn't be surprised when you go ahead and forward over that you go to the big boy, the 140.6, and you'll send me that registration. But I think it's the coolest thing in the world. And I think we're so vocal about it that we just talking about it. I talk about the countdown because of what I'm doing. Right. And it's crazy, man, how many fucking people are either A, they're going to race, or B, they're going to come out and support us on one day of it. Yeah. And just hang out. Yeah. Right. Because Jay Hazeltine's coming up from Austin. Mikkel's coming over from Houston. And I mean, there's just a ton of people, man. And I mean, and hell, Ren's talking about fucking racing, right? If he's
in. He hasn't committed yet. So Ren, if you're watching this, go ahead and get that done, dude, because I don't want someone to run out of spots, So
I can sit real quick. Let's me and you both. Let's me and you go make a pact here. When we get off here, we're gonna go ahead and send that fucking to Ren real quick. I know, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably fucking 2 a.m. Down there.
I know it's always the next day, so it's Friday morning here, which means it's probably like Saturday at midnight or something there, dude. It's
like Saturday morning, like Saturday. Yeah, I think they're about 12, 13 hours ahead of me.
Sorry, Saturday. Yeah. Saturday night. But another cool thing, real quick, on Waco, I've got a guy that I work with. His name's Austin. He was on our call. He signed up for it. He's all about this stuff now, and he wasn't before I started talking about it at the office. So I got him in, and there's another guy that's doing a 70.3 somewhere else. He's thinking about switching his registration over to come doing Waco. So I know I'm bringing at least one, maybe two guys not on Twitter. So like, I think you got a buddy that's not on Twitter that's doing it as well. So like, it's almost like exponential, right? Like we got at least a dozen guys that we've named off here on Twitter doing it, but then there's all these other guys outside the platform that are signing up for it as well. So it's just, dude, it's just contagious.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, man. I got at least 3 other friends because my guy that was on the call with us, that Chris freaking just crushed it. That guy and his wife are both doing Waco. He had done Waco before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's gonna do, I think she did it the next year. I think she did the 70.3. And then my friend Brad, who I actually met at my sprint. I go out there, and that's why Chris and I want to do our thing. Is there's a lot that goes in. I mean, we know we got to swim, we know we have to bike, we know we have to run, but you got to set your shit up, right? You got to transition and all that, dude. I'm telling you, man, there's only so much you can learn from a fucking YouTube channel or reading something. I mean, that was the thing. I was like, if that guy Brad hadn't walked me through how to set my freaking transition area up, dude, my fucking shoes would have probably been in my bag when I got to the bike. I'd have probably had barefooted. Right. So yeah, it's crazy, man. So yeah, it's contagious. And again, it doesn't have to be Ironman. What I've learned is whatever your interests are, you can find that space on Twitter, unlike you can on any other platform. Right. And like you said, it doesn't have to be whatever. It doesn't have to be fitness, bro. Those guys, I'm sure the fucking crypto guys, I'm sure they're very similar to us, except they're probably more anonymous. So they don't, no one hunts them down and kills them when they cost each other $5 million, right? Yeah, so that's exciting. It's cool. I mean, and I'm probably more. I mean, I'm extremely excited because I got the Gold Star Initiative stuff and all that. But I'm just as excited about hanging out with you guys and getting to know you guys a little better. Yeah, and the camaraderie of it.
For sure, man. Yeah, it's gonna be badass.
So I mean, me and Mikhail talked about this fucking thing, right? We talked about it a lot, right? And he's excited, right? So we come up with a couple of things I want to do, right? And the first one is I'm going to read a couple of tweets off, and I want you to fucking tell me who you think tweeted it. It could be anybody, okay? You ready for this?
Okay. Yeah, can't wait. Let's do it.
All right. I got a couple of them saved on my phone here. Let me open them up. And,
hey, while you're doing that, hold up. I'm going to can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I got to refill Monster, but keep going. I'm mobile.
Okay. If you don't get enough sleep, you'll feel less energetic, more moody, and hungrier. Getting a good night's sleep is the lead domino where all good things come from.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yeah, say it again though.
Okay.
This is a tweet. I'm trying to guess who tweeted this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And let me read it in the most platitude voice possible. Okay.
Okay.
If you don't get enough sleep, you'll feel less energetic and more moody and hungrier. Getting a good night's sleep is the lead domino where all good things come from. I think you might have seen him on the beach the other day.
It's Dan Go.
Dan Go. Yes, man. Good job. The next tweet is JRKKK RJRRJTTJJJBVRR HBRJRJR.
All right, so that's my one of my biggest fans on Twitter, and I, for the life of me, have no idea who's running this account, but they are on it, and it may be a real dude, so we got to be careful. I'm 90% sure it's a troll, but there's that 10% chance that this guy's real. But it's RT Fitness.
RT Fitness. Hey, my question is this, man. When are you going to give that man his fucking banner? Because I seen he's about fucking had it.
He got really upset. So when this account started, fired up in June, and the first day or maybe the first couple of days it was active, retweeted 30 of my tweets in a fucking row. You know how you get the notifications like, Bob Smith retweeted your tweet. It said, RT Fitness retweeted 30 of your tweets. I'm like, what the fuck? So at some point I blocked him, but I got curious and I kept going back and looking. I'm like, this guy's still going. So like somebody was feeding him the tweets. Probably somebody's got a real account. And so I unblocked him and just started kind of interacting with him, you know. But yeah, man, he's probably one of my biggest retweeting supporters out there.
Yeah, dude, you got to do that fucking chart thing that shows, dude, because his picture's gonna be that big.
Oh yeah, the banner. See, that was something I came up with a long time ago, and I put it as my banner. And then one day I was in there, I noticed he had set his banner, so I DM'd him. I'm like, come on, man, like I'm all about having fun here, whatever, but like take that shit down. And he hits me with the like, it looks like he just sets on his keyboard, right? It's just like blah nonsense and like hits or something at the end, or dick, you know, at the end. He puts like one word at the fucking end. So like, I'm not having a conversation with this person, you know.
Dude, okay. That goes to my next tweet.
Oh, we're still going? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that ringing it? Is that ringing you or me? Somebody
That's
ringing?
you, brother. That ain't me. So the next tweet, and this was right below something that RT had said. This person said, I speak fluent retard, and what he says is you're a fucking bitch for wearing capris. Who does that sound like?
I can't say this word. Hypertrophy Nation.
Yeah.
Dude, we need to start a podcast. Boyd and DT just jack up words that they can't fucking say because they're fucking tough.
Yeah, we're real good with that. Okay, I got some more for you. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Man, 1 week without pot, and I feel amazing.
I don't know this guy at all, but that's our anti-THC savior that we didn't know we needed. Mr. Helms, I believe, wrote that tweet.
Yeah, he did, and he's wrote it about 12 fucking million times since then.
Yeah, I'm just glad he's clean though.
I am too. I don't ever have a problem with somebody going.
Welcome to sobriety, brother.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, exactly. But I do have a problem with somebody going out saying, stay out of the fucking heat, man. I went out here, went for a walk, and almost fucking died from it.
Oh, yeah. How's your buddy doing?
Yeah, no, not him. He left Texas. He's gone. No, your guy, fucking Helms, he freaking got out and walked up the street. You know, he said, it's dangerous out here. Dude, it's dangerous because you're goddamn chewing the bong and shit nonstop and smoking bad shit, dude. I grew up in Kentucky, man. You're gonna smoke the good shit, right?
Yeah, you gotta watch the heaters during these summer runs, man. I mean,
yeah, dude, seriously, man. I mean,
pack a day or less.
Dude, I'll fire one up and run. I mean, fuck it, dude. I mean, but again, that's conditioning myself, man. I used to go out there running marathons, smoking a pack of fucking Marlboros and turn into that guy, man. I had to build up to that shit, right? So I got a couple more for you. These are important to me. I'm perfectly happy with hitting max efforts. I'm perfectly happy with not hitting max effort PRs for the time being. Just feeling and looking great is all I want right now. Maintenance is a good place to be at times. Now that may be confusing, right? He's also, so the guy used to be in Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
Due to some events, you know, I mean, we had a little misunderstanding, a little misunderstanding.
You guys got off on the wrong foot. And I think what needs to happen is we need an intervention. You guys just need to go lift together. And because we know you're not doing PRs either. So, I mean, it would be perfect.
Well, the good thing is, dude, here's the thing. I reached out, I offered that. I mean, he was my brother in Christ. I mentioned that, right? So I invited the guy to lift. And that motherfucker took Dallas off his profile. He's no longer from Dallas. And apparently he's walking around looking for needles in the streets of Portland. So I don't know. Do you know who this is? Do you know the name?
This guy's down. Whoever it is, he's down bad, man. I feel bad for him. I really do.
Yeah, man. He boarded up. I thought he had a gym here. He boarded that bitch up.
Does he own a gym? No shit.
I don't know. That's what Mikkel said. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows. All right. No. I got two more. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And one is, I just love it. Anytime he has a video, I got to watch it because he's got that Northeastern voice. But the way he says the state you're in right now, he says,
this is too easy. This is too easy. I already know it.
Who is it?
It's our boy Izzo.
Yeah, he's in South Florida. You're up in North. You're more North.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out to him when I came down here, but I think he's around like the Miami area. So.
Yeah, dude. He's Fort Lauderdale. That's probably fucking 9 hours south. At least where you're from. Straight down 75, right? It's better. Yeah, and you got one more, man. Who said this? I read this one today. It said, "Nah, son, DBAP."
Is that you?
Yeah. Yeah, son. Absolutely.
Was it y'all or no? Because I saw the video recently.
Son.
but you re-recorded it as "Yeah, son."
Well, sometimes I got to say, "Oh yeah, yeah, son." Sometimes I have
Chris,
to.
you sent it to Chris about something you were going to do, so you said "Yeah."
Yeah,
son."
I think it was when he posted that Wolverine thing popping up, being a cyborg, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So let me ask you this: what are your predictions for how you're going to do at Waco?
I'm gonna finish. I know that, and I did I just did a training Olympic this weekend on Saturday. What are you doing?
Open another one up.
Oh, okay. And I realized through that the mental, like the physical is what it is, right? It's gonna hurt and suck and all that good stuff, but like the mental conditioning point that I'm at is a really good place. Like at no point during Saturday did I even think about quitting. So like I know I'm gonna finish it. I don't want to go on a limb here, because if I do, I feel like knowing this group that's doing Waco, there'll be some guy like, I'm gonna crush you by 30 minutes or something like that. So I've actually built a spreadsheet that I'm working on. I'm a data and numbers guy in real life. Twitter is not my real time job at all. It's just a side hustle. But I'm putting in like bike times, swim times, and run times. And I don't want to get real technical here, Boyd, because I'm going to lose you. Probably never even opened an Excel spreadsheet in your fucking life. But anyway, I'm trying to kind of use that to pick out, based on my training, the times that I'm in, and just kind of see if I can pick out a finish time. So I'll get back to you on that. Let's table that question for right now.
All right, let me ask you this then. Let me give me an over and under 6.5 hours.
Oh God, let's see, 6.5. That'd be if I could swim in an hour, 3 bike, 4. Yeah, I think under 6.5.
6.5. So okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying under 6.5. I'm gonna write that down. Make sure.
All right, do it.
Make sure I tweet about that when we get off here.
Fuck my life.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss this. All right. Yeah, man. So yeah, you talked about something that I want to go back to. I mean, not to this kind of a little bit of jumping a little bit. You talked about how COVID wrecked people's lives, right?
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. The hardest thing you've ever been through is the hardest thing you've ever been through, right?
Right. Yeah.
Some people, it's waking up every day of your life from the time you were 12 years old and working your ass off at 4 a.m. before you went to school to come back and work after that, right?
Right.
Some people, it's going working at the bottom of a coal mine for 30 fucking years. And
right.
That's hard, but it's what they do, right?
Yeah.
Some people it's somebody telling you they don't love you anymore. Some people it's going to war and having your convoy hit by a fucking bomb. And then there's almost a whole sect of society, in my opinion, that COVID was the hardest thing they ever went through.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about that, man. I mean, what kind of effects? I mean, here we are now. In Texas, we were done with that shit like May of fucking 2021, right?
Yeah.
Are you still seeing the effects of that?
Of COVID?
Yeah, just like the mentality.
In Kentucky, I mean, we were probably a lot like you guys. Like we went through it or whatever, and we had our lockdowns and things like that. I think what hit guys is, and ladies as well, it's not just a guy thing. It was a slow burn, right? Like it came, and a lot of people got shoved out of their offices. They're working from home. They're cooped up with, if they had a significant other, that was probably maybe a good thing, although I think it led to some divorces. But if they didn't, then they were very isolated. We closed bars and things like that. But you could get to-go drinks. You could go to a liquor store drive-through, but you couldn't go and sit with friends unless you had like plexiglass or something in between you. So I think there was that social impact. And again, over just months and months and months of this, and the news was just blasting 24/7, and the world's ending. This is terrible. We're not going to make it through it. So I think that it got to people. And I think a lot of people turned to substances instead of activity to kind of get through that.
Yeah.
Back in 2020, I remember in the May or June of 2020, I started running because I had these, I'd take lunch breaks, and my office was literally right by the farm there where I live, and there was a really good area to run on, so I'd go and run on lunch and things like that. So I actually was doing it in the heat, not eating a whole lot. So I lost like 10 or 15 pounds during COVID, and most people, I think, did the opposite. They gained 20 or 30. So there was some self-image issues and things like that. But I think I've talked to a lot of guys, some on Twitter and some off, that developed a nasty drinking habit during COVID. And I think some of them are still reeling from it today. Like some may or may not want to admit it. But I know myself, I started drinking, 6 to 9 beers, 12 beers, just during the week, right? Like this was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night by myself. It wasn't because there was a bunch of buddies. It was like, I'm going to have a beer. And that led to, 6 to 12 beers some nights. So like it definitely took its toll on me until April of 21 when I decided to kind of kick that for good.
Yeah, no, man, I agree with that, dude. It was funny because I had the best of times and worst times in that. I'm not shying away from that. COVID did not help fix my marriage, right? We were one of the early COVID casualties, right?
Yeah.
But and it just exasperated whatever was going on when you had to be together nonstop, right? And you had the fear of the world. Because like you said, dude, I remember being a dad thinking, dude, I can't protect my kids against this, right? I remember that was the first time, and I know you've dealt with this, and if you want to talk about that, we will. If not, I understand. But dude, I remember thinking like, my job as a dad is to protect these children. First and foremost, right, is to make sure that anything I can keep safe. And I'm all about the model of control, but that was the first time, especially with Ava, because when that happened, she was only, like 18 months old, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first time I ever felt like, I have no control. And that feeling of not having control fucked a lot of people up, man. I had a taste of it. And I'll be honest with you. And like I just said, you know what, man, look, I'm fucking stronger than this right here. Look, we'll figure it out. I'm not going to worry about what I can't control. And that was that's how, because hey, that's between, health is, between you, and if you're spiritual, you're your God. And if not, you got to understand, like, you cannot, if you sit and worry about something like that, you will always end up facing what you focus on, right? Whether you want to or not, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, okay. So I close this out with, I always ask people, I give them a shot to ask me a bunch of questions. Ask me anything they want to ask, right? I'm real fucking hesitant to do that for a couple reasons. And I believe we could have done this live. I think we've actually behaved ourselves. I don't think we completely violated YouTube policy. As long as you fucking keep, stay seated, I think we're good to go. So I'm going to give you a chance, man. Don't make me regret this shit. I'll stop this recording in a second. So what would you like to ask me?
I've got a list of questions actually prepared for this. So
okay.
You want to jump right into it? And if it's not fair game, just feel free to say, hey, we're not going to discuss that.
Shut the fuck up.
Can we talk about your cholesterol?
Mine?
Yeah.
Is this in regards to when I had that cholesterol test, right? Is this what that's about? So we can talk about it, right? So yes. I'm in the airport.
I don't remember where I was flying to. I was heading to Arizona, I think, in April, and I took a phone call from Boyd, and here's what was on the other end. Go ahead, Boyd.
Man, I just got my blood work back, because at this point I had only been eating 3 or 4 times a day. I was eating about I was eating on average about 4 pounds of steak a day. And with that, I was eating on average, probably, I wasn't eating Kerrygold at that point often. I think I was eating Land O'Lakes even, right? But they had the little like middle sticks, right? The little half stick thing. I would eat like one of those with each steak. And so each pound of fucking steak, I was eating a full half stick of butter. Right? I'd eat it, dude. And there were times like there'd be no more steak, and I'd go ahead and eat the butter. Dude, I became obsessed with eating butter. And then I also have bone broth, right? I love bone broth. It's like a super hydrator for me. And that's one thing I don't think people understand, how well it hydrates. And I know it has the gut effects and all that, right?
Yeah.
But I figured out, if I put about a quarter of one of those little sticks in my fucking bone broth, dude, it was different, bro. Think about it. I was drinking fucking butter. So I go get my fucking cholesterol done, right? And this is something I want to talk about. I was plant-based for 15 months, right? And I felt great. My blood work was fucking perfect. But I was also methodical about supplementation with it, right? I made sure that I didn't, I don't know if you have to do that, right? It didn't hurt me. My shit was perfect though. Now I lost a lot of muscle mass. I'm open about that. So, well, motherfucker, I got it back right now, you bitch. Show everybody, cover your little wee up and show your legs, and we'll discuss this. Right? So I started eating steak again, and it was almost like an anabolic effect, right? It was almost like I fucking started running test and trend, like way back in from the bodybuilding days.
Right.
And I just freaking my shoulders pop back out. And I also at that time I coincided with lifting extremely heavy again. And then I go get my blood work done. And fucking, I don't remember the actual number. I'm sure you do, but it was well over 300. And I remember
300.
Yeah. I remember the PA walks in and she's got this fucking mortified look on her face. And she's like, "Are you okay? How do you feel?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." She goes, "Listen, I have to refer you back to your other doctor." And I was like, "What for?" And she goes, "Listen, you need to fucking get this shit under control. You're a fucking," and I was like, "Well, but let's talk about ratio, I mean, like blah, 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 LDL and all that."
Yeah, LDL, RDL, yeah.
She goes, "You're like 12-1. I'm like, "Oh, that ain't good."
Have you had it checked since then?
Yeah. I'm back at like 160 now. So
what did you do? Just quit eating butter?
No, I'm not quit eating butter. I drastically reduced the amount of butter I was eating. I started consuming a lot more. I started eating a lot more fish oil. And I also increased. So I quit just eating fucking steak and butter and cheese. I eat cheese and eggs all the time too. I still eat all those things, but I also eat a lot more. I eat spinach. I love spinach. I eat kale. I love kale.
Okay.
So I started, doing the shit you're supposed to do. Right now, I burn so many calories in a day. I burn a lot of calories just sitting around on my ass, right? Right now, dude, it's 11 o'clock. I haven't fucking, I'm still going to go out and do something else, right, today. And I'm already sitting on, according to Garmin, who's real fucking strict, right? I'm sitting at like 2,200 calories already. So I probably will get to 5, according to Garmin, and today, I got a shot at being, up
5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6, right? Depends how far I go, if I go out for a run or whatever, right? So I'm definitely going to run. So how far I'm going to go. Should be nice and toasty. I think today we're looking like 116 or some fuckery. But yeah, man. So my cholesterol is under control. And the funniest thing about that is you can, and this is something we always say, you can't outwork. If you're putting bad in, you cannot outwork it, right? Because at that point, I was training extremely intense, just like to wrap up the fucking like preseason, right? I was like, fuck this, I'm going all out. And I was like, man, I was basically like 8 weeks out of Ironman fucking volume, right? The volume I'll do that close. And I was like, dude, on the insides, my red blood cell count has always been high my entire life. So I've given blood for that. Before I ever dabbled in anything I shouldn't have been dabbling in, it was always high.
Yeah.
And then, so I still deal with that now, right? So, but it was actually, that was under control. That was better than it had been, man. But my cholesterol, dude, and that's not one of those things that terrifies me, but it was a fucking high enough to where I said, okay, yeah, fuck this. I got to act like I got some sense here. Quit eating butter. Dude, I could go right now. You have that carry go. That's some good shit right there, man. It's expensive, but I could take a bite of that and happily. I also quit eating about 4 jars of peanut butter a day too. So there was that too.
Oh, that helps. Yeah, that helps too. All right, number 2. This is a serious question. All right, it's no bullshit. It is. No, seriously. So can you talk about a little bit more about is it Fallen Veteran, Fallen Soldier program where you're carrying the flag for both sessions of Waco? Like, do you know anything about the families that you're doing this for? Thoughts going into that, what that means to you? I just want to talk about that, because that's, all joking aside, one of the coolest fucking things I've ever heard of anybody getting ready to do.
Yeah, so it's the Gold Star Initiative. It's through the Ironman Foundation. I'm an Ironman Foundation athlete, which means I race. It's the charitable arm of Ironman. And what they do is, typically, as Ironman Foundation, they do projects in the communities where the races are held, right? So you go, we're racing in Waco. They'll go, we fundraise, and they'll go like paint a fucking school. They'll get, they'll go to an orphanage and give all the kids bikes or something, right? But they'll have an event for less, less fortunate people. If there's something that's affected that community, like a hurricane or something, they'll do something, rebuild a community center or whatever, right? So a part of that is Gold Star Initiative is an organization that honors and helps families of the fallen, right? So anybody, if you lose someone in combat, you're a Gold Star family, or you lose any military member, you're a Gold Star family. And that does include suicide, right? That's something for me that's right now there's upwards of 22, veterans a day that commit suicide. Now we can talk about the reasons why and everything. And COVID as a whole didn't help that, right? So a lot of people are feeling completely isolated anyway. And I just heard yesterday the suicide rates in this country are amongst people that are prescribed like mental, like health, like sedentary medicines and stuff, right? I've heard that suicide rate is going up like 35%. So I'm sure a lot of those veterans fall in that, right? They use things to calm themselves. So I'm sure that that's probably a more sensitive meter. So I mean, when those numbers come out, if it's going up 30%, we're talking now it's up to 28 people a day, right? If that's the case, right? So what the Gold Star Initiative is just, just bring awareness to these families, because when a family loses a loved one, and this doesn't have to be military, what happens over time is they start feeling, there's survivor's guilt, obviously, right? But there's a guilt of, you know what? They feel so bad, they hurt so bad about losing that loved one that they feel guilty about bringing them up and talking to them. And as a friend or somebody that cares for somebody like that, it's not easy to always bring that up and to discuss it. So that, that there's obviously that little that crack there, that fault there. So the Gold Star families, the gentleman and the lady that founded it, I mean, that was their thing. Now, the lady said she felt guilty about talking about her son. She figured no one else wanted to hear about it, right? And Mike Ergo's he was the first Gold Star representative, right? And he just wanted to bring awareness to that, right? So he did that so what I'll be doing is I'll be holding the flag for the national anthem, right? That week I think I got to be there on Wednesday. I'll be part of festivities with the Gold Star Initiative, right? I don't know anything specifically about the families yet.
Okay. Gotcha.
But typically there's somebody local. Waco is a big military town because you've got Fort Hood's just a few, less than an hour, hour west. So I'll meet the families. I will hand the flag off before I swim. They do the national anthem just like every other sporting event. I'll do my swim, I'll do my bike, and then they hand it to me on the run, and I'll carry the flag on Saturday, 26.2 miles, on Sunday, 13.1 miles. Now that happened was, I wanted to know if there's hey, this is an Ironman Foundation race, there any slots left? And the guy's like, hey man, you're a veteran, right? Because I worked with him. I was like, and he said, how would you feel about doing the Gold Star Initiative? I was like, yeah. I was like, well, what is that? I'd seen the guy when I did Arizona. I saw the guy with the flag, and I thought, that's badass.
Yeah.
The guy's fucking insane, right? And then I found out, I was like, holy shit, that's part of the IMF. So I said, dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
He said, well, okay, cool. Which race do you want to do? I was like, fucking both, right?
Yeah.
And I said this before, my mindset of that is, right? Look, man, fucking training and the race, that race is hard enough. One Ironman, a half Ironman is hard enough, right?
Right.
So I decided to handicap it, carry a flag, right? The guy that hates carrying a water bottle, right?
Right.
So, but I figure this is the way I look at it. I've got 99 days until that race.
Yep.
And dude, anytime that I feel like I don't feel like doing this, I'm hurt, I'm tired, I got a lot of shit going on in my life, all I got to do is remember that the sale of this house, all this shit is going to fucking end, right? I'll get back, right? There's always tomorrow. The suffering always ends. On Saturday, October 15th and Sunday, October 16th, we're talking a 48-hour period. I'm going to hurt like I've never physically hurt in my life. But by 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, it will be over, right? And I'm going to hurt for a day or two after that. I understand that. Those people that have lost their loved ones will hurt for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
And I figure that I can suffer and I will be okay. But I will fucking die before I fucking say I can't go on, because I have a duty, an obligation, and a responsibility to get that flag to both of those families.
That's awesome, dude. Super powerful stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
I know. I almost hate to bring it up because I'm sitting there getting emotional. I know you get emotional doing it, but like that's just, man, that is some real shit right there, dude, that you're doing. And it's we should say it's not one of the little flags that you put outside, your house. This is a full-size American flag.
Yeah, so it's funny, man. Like, so I'm like, okay, let's get the calluses. So I got the calluses on the mind. I've got the calluses a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
But I don't, do I have, let's get them on, make sure I got my hands are right. So I go in here and run around this fucking, I got a shop room out here in my garage, right? And I unscrewed that bitch and went running around with it. And I was like, man, this is not easy. And I'm running. And then I catch myself, I put it on my shoulders like, Jesus, bro. And I'm like, wait a minute. I can't do that to the flag. I'll get shot, right?
Right.
So I had to keep it here and I'm holding it here and I'm running with it and stuff.
Straight up.
Dude, I'm like, there's no fucking flag yet, right? So pretty quick here, I've got to go down and buy a flag and run with it. And I got to figure that shit out, right?
I was going to say, how are you trained for that, man? Because the thing is that I think a lot of people don't realize in distance running, like you get a lot of momentum from your arms, right? And that helps propel you. So when your arms are fixed right here, it takes all that out of the mix.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree, dude. Your running is at least 15% arms. Shoulders. People don't understand that, right? It really is. And I've focused on like not using my arms when I run. So yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. I mean, I know that's part of it now. And I mean, carrying that flag, there's no, I mean, nobody's gonna say, hey, motherfucker, if I stop, I gotta walk for a second. I'm not worried about that, right?
Right.
Especially because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing both of them, right? And it's about, I have to finish both. This isn't about going down and freaking kicking ass on Saturday and fucking not being able to go Sunday.
That's you gotta pace it out. Right.
Yeah. So it's funny. I put all these things in, to all these variables in to figure out like, hey, what's the best way to handle this to survive? Because all that matters is I've got to get to the run on Sunday. Yeah. If I get to the run on Sunday, I have zero doubt, bro. But I got to get to it, right?
Right.
And I got to go to mile 1, mile 2, mile 3, and I got to get through all that, right? So it's funny. There's just not a playbook for it. There's no, I mean, and never mind the 1.5, right? And then people are like, and inevitably some jackass tells me Iron Cowboy did 101. All right, motherfucker, I'm not Iron Cowboy. I wasn't, Iron Cowboy wasn't fucking almost 300 pounds fucking 3 years ago, right? Or 4 years ago. So that guy's a savage in his own way, bro. But I'm telling you, and so there's no way to train. I mean, especially, I mean, and luckily I've got a good cardio base, and everybody sees like, they see my run, they're like, oh, it'll be easy. I'm like, dude, you know what? I will do it. I will absolutely do it. Right. I will survive, but I don't think I don't think I'm going to just fucking crush it. I hope I do. Right. But dude, I mean, when I'm being 100% honest, I know,
tough, man.
Dude, it's going to be a fucking brutal weekend. Right. And I mean, and here's the thing though, here's what I know though, is the challenge that it is, the preparation that I am going through. And never mind the fact I got a fucking broken bone in my foot and I've got hernias, right? I don't care, bro. I'm like, to me, that's like, oh, fuck yeah, bro. Now I got fucking like, dude, I do this. I'm like, dude, there's no doubt. I know I fucking put something on my mind, right? So, I mean, it's, I'm excited. I'm embracing it because if it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. And I know to this point, I've changed, right? So I'm excited about who will I be on October 17th. Right. So that's that for me. That's a big motivator, man. I use that. I use those families. I use that flag. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm all in. I'm ready to go. So, anybody say I'm ridiculous. I don't sleep. The fucking acting wild, running in the heat, screaming, ranting, calling people pussies. But I'm like, dude, I talked to my ex-wife on this damn thing, Tuesday. She just said, it's not a fucking act. That's you. Right. So, I mean, 100%. Yeah, man. So, I mean, I don't care. I'm not doing it because I think, hey, it'll build my Twitter following. I don't give a fuck if it does. Matter of fact, some people are like, they feel like, like I'm disrespecting Ironman for it, right? Or I'm not taking the races serious. I'm like, dude, I don't do this because I have delusions of becoming the next Ironman champion. I do it because it's a great way to physically express and to physically challenge my mental toughness.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome, dude. All right, I got a couple more questions here for you.
All right.
If you're ready. Tell us a little bit more about your days working at the Blue Oyster. What was that like?
Well, so Daniel,
for those that don't know, maybe explain what the Blue Oyster is.
You know what? Apparently, some shit fixed on your mind. So apparently, you're down there in Florida, and you found a gentleman's dance club, or I guess, or whatever. I don't know, or fucking drag queens or something. I don't know what shit's going on.
It's a men's club for men.
A men's club for men. Yeah, there's one in when I lived in San Antonio, it was called Hard Bodies, right? So, whatever, right? So
Same
I don't
vibes,
know.
yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, look, man. I mean, if we're gonna have to talk about this right here, you got to promise we'll talk about the times when you were a kid, and you were figure skating. I don't know, man. I mean, there's not a lot to tell about it, right? I don't remember all those. I don't remember all the fucking facts of it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll leave that one be, so we stay in good graces with the YouTube overlords or whatever, as it were. Let's see, what else do I have that I want to ask you about? I got one. Yeah, this just came to me, and we just kind of hit on it. You talked about the things you're going to do that weekend, but October 16th, 17th, you're going to be, or 17th will be the day after that. What is in store for Boyd in the next chapter of his life? And it doesn't have to be the rest of 22. If you want to look forward into 23 or 24, like, where do you go from here?
Man, that's a really good question, right? I didn't know this before, right? It just, things just happen or come to me, so I'm actually still scheduled to race Cozumel, right?
Oh,
I haven't pulled out of that yet. It's about 5
When
weeks
is that?
like November 21st or something like that, I think. It's or 28th. It may be. It's the Thanksgiving weekend, right?
Okay.
The one before Thanksgiving. So we're gonna see. I may race that. I would like to know. I would like to see, am I recovered? Will I feel like training and going through to peak again for that? I don't know where I'll be psychologically, right? I don't know if I want to, right? I mean, I've got a lot going on in life. I might race that. I don't know for a fact, but I'm not excited about that, right? It's got to be. I'm not a medal collector, dude. I don't give a fuck about how many medals I get, or people say how many. You're an Ironman. How many have you done? It doesn't matter. I'm a fucking Ironman. If I never do another one, I'm still an Ironman, right? So I'm not big on the medal collecting. I don't want to just go do a race, bro. Like finish another. Just cross another finish line. That's not me, dude. And I don't mind that. I don't mind people do that. That's just not me. I don't care about going out and collecting medals doing races. I care about testing myself or having a purpose or a cause, right? So a couple of things that I have, like I think about this every time I'm out here running, and it's stupidity, is I would like to do Badwater 135. And people don't know that's a race on the first, second week of August every year. And it starts in Death Valley. If you don't know, Death Valley is the hottest place on fucking earth in August, right? So it starts in the lowest part of California, and it ends up, somewhere up Mount Whitney, which is the highest point in the continental United States, right? So it is the ultimate. It doesn't have the vertical climbing of, say, like the Western states, I think, or Leadville, right? Those 100-mile races. Those are known for the altitude, but Death Valley. So on the internet, on that race day, there are people on the side of the road cooking fucking eggs on the road. If you don't run on the white line, your shoes will fucking melt off of you, right? You've got these people are dipping themselves. They got these big giant, like, the big 60-gallon coolers with ice. Yeah. They're laying in those, bro. There's people out there with fucking coffins full of ice, and they get in them and shit, right? And so there's no way. So think about this. You and I go out here running this 105 and shit, and we're just letting motherfuckers know, dude. It's not that we're not bitches, right? Because there's something can make everybody a bitch, but we're not as big of bitches as these guys that can't walk in shit, right? So I take a little pride in that. I'm like, when I'm out here wanting to tap out, I think, fucking my buddy Ethan, he can't even fucking walk into shit, right? Right. I don't know. Hey, cheap shot, whatever, but he can't. So that's me, man. I think Badwater would be something awesome, but I also would want to. I would feel better if I had a bigger purpose, right? So I really want to start looking at what I can do for that suicide awareness for veterans. And it's got to be a big challenge. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, a couple of days. I wouldn't mind doing Ultraman. But again, I mean, nothing right now says, oh, I gotta fucking do that. So and that's what happened with the Ironman Waco and Waco 70.3. I just found it and I was like, oh yeah, it's it, right? And that's kind of how I do a lot of stuff, man. I'm like, fuck yeah, I see it, and I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Yeah. There's a lot of cool shit. I would really like. I mean, I like the idea of a destination, going and doing something like Ironman Alaska. I think would be fucking incredible, right? So
I know they had one up there.
It's new, so I think I look this year, next year's the first one, but I wouldn't mind doing that. you know, I mean, maybe a return to Hawaii and racing Kona. I mean, that would be cool down the road, but I mean, I'd have to earn that shit. So I don't know if I can do that. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not quite that. I'm not Chris Betcher. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I promise, when I decide, you'll be one of the first people to know.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think too, like, let's talk a little bit about, before we wrap up here. I think that for guys that are looking at a 73 or a full Ironman and thinking, man, like that's just too crazy. Like I can't even wrap my head around that. I think for you having completed a full Ironman, like talk about kind of how that shifts your mindset into not only what's hard in your mind, but what the body and the mind is capable of. How does that shift happen for you?
You know, and I don't know that this is actually scientifically true, but for a lot of years, I always heard that a bumblebee is not supposed to be able to technically fly, right? Because its wings are too short for its bigger body, right? But nobody tells it that, so that motherfucker flies anyway, right?
Right.
And if it's true or not, I think that, I mean, we're humans, we're that bumblebee, right? We only put these limits, these limits are only in place because we tell ourselves they're limits, right? Had you told me, fucking, let me think, we're in 22 right now. So if you'd have told me in this time exactly this time, fucking 2018, bro, this is right after I just had my heart scare, right? I thought I was dying, right? I felt like Ethan laying there in a bed, but not because I was too buff. I was the opposite. I was drinking fucking a gallon of freaking Tito's a night. I was, you know, I'll let you all believe I was smoking Marlboros. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but I was eating fucking Whataburger every day. Once I completed that, right? And here's what I say, right? So 3,000 people, they open 3,000 slots up for a lot of these Ironman races, depending on the city. They open 3,000. Now, if you start an Ironman, you've got like a 90% chance of finishing, right? But here's the thing. If 3,000 sign up, only 2,000 people show up at that starting line, right? So if you sign up, you only got 60. Yes. So
well, hold on. Why is that? You're saying 1,000 people just don't even come?
Yeah, defer, injury, fucking life happens, or people decide that, dude, okay, and whatever, it's too repetitive, bro. To become an endurance, to compete at the Ironman, and even the 70.3 level, you better have the fucking patience to watch grass grow. You have to, because if you don't, if you decide like, hey, I don't want to. This week, my long run is 75 minutes. Next week, it's 78 minutes, right? Or 80 minutes or 82 minutes. Because the only way to become better at endurance is to fucking do more endurance stuff, right? And it is a beating. You can't, this ain't no fucking 30 minutes 3 times a week shit, right? Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Yeah. There is a point of where you want to rest and you want to recover. And you obviously want to be at your best. That's called, the haze in the barn at that point, right? But you can't rest your way to it. Like, dude, right now, if I just said, oh, you know what? I'm going to take it easy for the next 100 days, show up at Ironman, I'm going to go out there and fucking die, bro. Because you got to still build this level of fitness up that few people ever build up, right? Now, the hardcore Ironman will be like, yeah, if you're not doing it in under fucking 10 hours, you're not really doing it. I'm like, well, okay, motherfucker. But, that's not realistic because everybody, dude, most of y'all have full-time normal jobs, right? Yeah. See, so that's the thing. It just takes so much to fucking build up to. And the thing I gained from it, this is really directly answering the question, was, dude, I had to partition my life in a way that my schedule was so fucking tight, bro. Like I keep my schedule, right? My schedule, my days, bro. These things, this is next year right here. Dude, there was so much there was no white space because I had to have the training. I had to put in lunch. I had to shower. I had all that shit on this thing, man. And there was no white space. And what I learned was, man, when you really put the big stuff in first, the shit you got to do, right? The stuff I have to do. I have to pay attention to my family. I have to spend time with Ava. I have to have that talk with Peyton. I have to train, man. I got a 4-hour, 6-hour bike ride. I got to go to the fucking gym. I got to swim. I got to do this right here. When you start putting that shit in, all the stuff you got to do, I don't leave a lot of time for, let me swim up Bottle Cap Alley and get a fucking couple of drinks, right? Let me sit and fucking mindlessly watch fucking Yellowstone, right? I like going to Bottle Cap Alley and drinking beer. I like Yellowstone, bro. I love all that shit, right? Ryan Bingham is a good friend of mine. But, dude, when you really determine what matters, right? And what matters is whatever we say, whatever we fucking believe, what matters is what we give our attention to, right? You can say,
I agree.
I love my kids more than anything, yet you're not in good fucking health and you don't spend time with them. You're stressed. You come home from work and you're fucking not present, right? So you really determine to successfully cross that fucking line. You got to be patient. You got to be fucking resilient. You got to be mentally strong to be fucking bored out of your mind. There's some strength in being fucking bored. There's nothing wrong with doing something over and over and over and over. And then you got to really pay attention to that schedule, right? And for some people, it's funny. And I've worked with fucking thousands of people, right? And it's funny when I start talking to somebody, it's funny how often people will tell me, this is a non-negotiable. I have to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's that important to you, then why are we fucking talking, right? It can be anything. I have to go to happy hour on Thursday night and Saturdays, follow boss for drinking football. And you can make that shit work. But where are your priorities if that's what will stay? If that's what's fucking non-negotiable, right? Right. So yeah, I think to finish it, I mean, dude, there's a lot has to go right. And then remember, I mean, you know, it takes one wrong step or fucking one, you know, lack of your attention wells for a second on the bike and shit can free, you know, there's a lot of reasons why you're not there for that reason, right? So yeah, man, long answer, but I think I covered everything I could possibly cover.
You know, it was so long I forgot the question that I fucking asked you, but it was good.
You learned well. It was like, hey, what do you gain from the middle of it? So to answer that, I really didn't. Is, man, you think about being human powered, body powered, self powered for 140.6 miles, dude. You kind of feel like a bitch. You can't go out and run 3 or 4, 5, 6 miles, 10 miles, right? So you're like, man. So and that's the thing too, man. There's days I've been out there and I've been like, fuck, dude. Why is my heart beating this fast? Why do my feet hurt this bad? And I'm like, hey, motherfucker, you know, your first marathon was after swimming 2.4 miles and cycling 112. You can do this fucking 10-mile run. Stop being a bitch. Go out and learn to suffer.
Exactly. Last thing I got. So we both, I think we talk a little bit about platitude accounts and things like that. Again, I know that they have the best of intentions. We're trying to get people healthy, but like, let's talk about, wrap it up with like, at the end of the day, what does Boyd want for people out there? The average man in America, like what is the message that you want to get out there to them? That's not necessarily a platitude, but you think that they need to hear.
I think stop sweating the fucking little things, right? Ultimately, it comes down to if you're willing to fucking focus, if you're willing to make a stronger mind, a stronger body, if you're willing to make it a priority, you are capable of so fucking much, man. We've become so neutered. We've become so watered down. We've become so, I mean, just basically, we've lost our savage, right? We've lost that fucking, we don't have to hunt for food, right? It's a good fucking thing, right? Yeah, I'd like that, but you know, it's a good thing we don't, right? Man, but we can't get too far away from that fucking beast, man. We need to want to fucking conquer. We need to want, and I don't mean this as a dominating another man, right? But we've lost that fire. And I talk about this a lot, and you know, the saying is, and I may fuck it up on the cusp, but is, you know, hard times create strong men create good times, good minds create weak men create hard times, right? Well, the fucking good times are, I mean, I'm not saying they're coming to an end, right? I'm fairly optimistic, right? But we are definitely, the times aren't as good as they have been as a whole, right? My life, they're pretty fucking good. I think your life's going pretty well, but I think also that came because I don't think that means all around the world. I think, hey, I can make fucking my times good and the people around me by being fucking strong, by being hard, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be ashamed to be obsessed. That's not a bad fucking word, right? There's a label. Don't be ashamed of it. There's nothing wrong with it. And I say men, I mean fucking mankind. Don't be a, I mean, being average, being just fucking like, I just want to, you know, work 8, come home and fucking, you know, and this, have some vacation time in the summer. Yeah, man, I guess I want all that shit, right? I want to fucking have a kingdom, bro. And I want to have free time and I want to have all the time with my kids and I want to have energy and health. I don't think you have to fucking completely sacrifice one or the other, right? So that's the thing I want people to know is you're capable of more. You've been sold a lie of what is possible. So now all I want to do is, look, man, if it just takes a little bit of fucking courage and a little bit of energy to just get started, take the first step wherever the fuck you're at, right? It's going to suck, right? But the suffering of fucking doing the work beats the fuck out of the suffering of not doing the work.
Yep. I think that's a key message that more guys need to hear. You know, it's not about all this tough talk and things like that. It's just the capabilities. And I've seen it myself in my life from following you and some of the other guys. And if you would have told me like 3 years ago back at the peak of my drinking, like, hey man, you're going to do a 70.3 in 2022, I would have been like, hell no, man, you're crazy. I can't do all that, you know, in one day. It's back to back to back. Like, it's just insane. So like the ability to, I think, shift your mindset between what you consider hard and impossible. And for me, and I know for you, it's the same thing. I'm already thinking like, what else is out there? What is that next thing, you know, that I'm going to do and put on my radar? And man, that's a good, exciting feeling that I wish more guys had. And I think that's something that kind of drives me. And the message that I try to get out there is like, don't take it from me. If you don't want to do the stuff I do, that's fine. Find something that gets you amped up so that when you're sitting here, it's Friday afternoon, there is no part of me that's thinking about drinking tonight. I'm thinking about the training that I got ahead of me, some fun stuff that I'm going to do in the next 2 or 3 days, you know, people I want to hang out with. Like, those are the things that we need to focus on, not how many beers am I going to polish off on a Friday night with some buddies. And I want more people to experience that other side of life, because I think you said it very accurately. Like, we've been sold a lie, right? Like we push this out here like it's a guy thing to sit down and drink with a bunch of your buddies and watch sporting events and watch other grown men and things like that and support them. It's like, no, man, go out there and do something yourself. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone and just watch your life flourish, you know, in all areas. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because man, I mean, it's crazy, right, dude? So I've been fortunate enough growing up, right? So, I mean, different times in my life as a kid, right? For example, I mean, I'm going to say this, you'll appreciate this. Dude, I grew up a huge University of Kentucky basketball fan. So when I was 20, they won their first, well, they won a national title when I was like 2, but I was 20 and they won it, right? And if you remember 96, Derek Anderson and that bunch, right? Tony Delk and those guys. And I love those guys, right? And by that point, I wasn't really a huge Kentucky fan at that point. I remember I grew up an hour from Knoxville, right? So University of Tennessee is really important to me. So yeah, Orange, baby. My son's named Peyton, right? So, but when Kentucky won that basketball, I remember there was pride in that. I was like, dude, I rooted for those guys for a long fucking time. And then in '98, Tennessee had won their national championship in football, right? So I saw that. And now I'm a huge Cincinnati Reds fan. Growing up, I was. That dude, Cincinnati baseball to me was fucking everything. Pete Rose, Barry Larkin, Eric Davis, all those guys. I mean, I know I'm saying those names because I know you're from the area, so some of them might read.
No, they do. Mm-hmm.
So, dude, when they won in 1990, bro, I remember as a kid, I was 14, and I remember thinking, dude, it doesn't get any better than this, right? And I mean, so I had these sports moments that like were cool, right? And Peyton Manning, Peyton fan, he won his Super Bowls, and there's a lot of, and I get it, dude. I understand. I'm in Dallas, and this fucking football team's been so bad for so long, but these people still believe every year they're going fucking 17 and going running the playoffs, right? But one thing, dude, here's the thing. And those people that sit and they base, dude, and I was that guy for a lot of times. And I don't, if you can have a couple drinks and watch sports, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not dogging it, okay?
Right.
But here's what I will tell you is, dude, when you you watch sports for 3 or 4 hours, you drink for 10 hours after or before or whatever, right? Man, you feel like shit, right? And I still look back fondly on that 98 Tennessee team, for example. But, dude, I tell you what, man, crossing that Ironman finish line, listen, at that point, that motherfucker, that guy, that's life was determined by fucking Peyton was 3 for 32 passing and 7 interceptions. And that used to fuck me up for a week, right? Dude, that guy was dead and fucking gone, brother. And I was like, man, hey, you know what? You know, I still like, I want to know how Tennessee's doing in recruiting and football and all that. I pay some attention, but man, here's the deal. First and foremost, bro, if it comes down, dude, I got to get this run in or I got to watch the game, dude, the run's winning every fucking time, right? So, yeah, man, it's funny how I became Team Me a lot, right? And Team Me that's this whole organization, brother. That's me. That's my kids. That's people that I care about. You know, it's my friends, right? So I feel like if I succeed, people that have a vested interest in me, whether they financially profit, they emotionally profit from me, or they motivationally or discipline, or however, I feel like if I succeed, then that carries, there's a ripple effect, and that carries on through everyone that I'm in contact with.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think that influence is just so strong, you know. I mean, I think a lot of us, for the guys that are doing the 70.3, I mean, we're looking at you like, this guy's doing both of them, you know. Like, there's probably been some that have toyed around, should I switch to the full? But I'm like, man, there's no way in hell I could wrap my head around, at this point in my life anyway, doing a full and then a half just back to back. It's just,
yeah, man. I mean, I remember, listen, I haven't forgotten how I felt after Ironman Arizona, how my fucking feet hurt, dude. I have not.
How bad was it?
Man, so that next day, dude, you know what's funny? During that race, I never suffered. I really didn't. I thought I would, but I didn't.
Kind of on autopilot.
Yeah, man, I was so happy, bro. It was a spiritual journey for me, and I remember I took it in. And that's my advice for you guys is, dude, half full, whatever, savor it. Be in the moment. Don't think about, thinking about 8 hours from now is not helping you. Be in it. Embrace it. It's going to suck, right? At some point, it's going to suck. There were things that suck. I lost my goggles in the swim fucking 2 minutes into the fucking thing. It sucked, right? But I embraced it. And it was funny. My first thought was, fuck, man, how am I going to swim? And then I was like, this is kind of fucking funny. And I mean, motherfucker, who swims with no goggles? I do, goddammit. Let's go, right? So
on your back.
Yeah, I had to, about half of it on my back, right? And I didn't know if I could swim on my back because I did not practice the backstroke, which is hilarious. That was like the first time I'd really ever swam on my back, which is funny. Yeah. And I was like, I'm pretty good at it. Now, yeah, dude, if I was doing it for speed, I won't do that. It'll be crawl the whole time, right? Freestyle. Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, that next day, bro, I remember that night. I mean, you get a massage after, bro. It's the best thing in the world. That just may be Ironman Foundation, but I think everybody gets it. And it was
what kind of massage?
Fucking detail. They a fucking rub down, man. It ain't a rub and tug. You know, you're not gonna have some young gentleman. You're not gonna have some young gentleman freaking give you a prostate massage. That's what you're asking.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I didn't know. I'm just.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I might as well check. I mean, but Waco, dude, that's Bible Belt capital, right? We're gonna hit that motherfucker harder than David Koresh, right? So that next day, dude, I remember this. I remember because I had all this shit I planned on doing after Ironman. Dude, the next day, the one thing I had planned on doing after Ironman was figuring out how can I get my dick to that toilet without fucking walking to it, because my feet hurt so fucking bad, dude. The hotel I stayed in has big giant continental breakfast spread, bro. And I was like, and I'm like, man, I sure wish I could fucking call somebody. I didn't know anybody. I'm like, I sure wish I could get that breakfast. I'm calling the front desk, but no, we don't fucking room service. I'm like, so here's what I did, dude. I put my medal on and walked down there, bro. And I saw those people down there with their medals, and people were coming up. And I was like, dude, I'm glad I came down. Go down. Well, that day, but I went and got my jacket. I told my buddy, man, I can't fucking do it. I can't go. A guy I met on the course, he's like, brother, you're going to regret it if you don't go over there to finish your gear. So I went over there, and I was like, and I was the last morning in Ironman Village, and I was like, yeah, this sucks, but man, I'm fucking here. I'm on this side of it, right? So yeah, man, it was brutal because we drove to Arizona, so we had to drive back, and man, it started snowing and shit. We went up to Flagstaff and drove over, and man, I wanted to go out and look. I want to see Billy the Kid's grave and shit. My buddy Chris was with me. He's like, get in the fucking truck, son. My feet are killing me. And I was like, yeah. And they hurt bad for a few days, man. So you
couldn't imagine doing a 70.3 that day?
No, not that day. So that's a big part of why I train like I train. It's why I like, you know, and if you look at it on the micro level, you're like, I said, hey, I ran 33 miles. Next day I went out and ran 5, right? Shook out. That's fucking too much. I'm like, okay, there's a reason why I did it, right? I did it to know that after 33 miles, which is going to put my feet as close as I could possibly get on the field after Ironman,
right, I
could still go out and run 5, which is not 13.1. It's not after all the stuff, but I needed to know there's little things I'm doing that are like, I know, like if I write the program, I know that this, you know, if I'm writing it out for somebody else, dude, I couldn't ask anybody to do this. I just couldn't. If somebody asked me to train them for both, I don't know that I would, right? I'd have to talk to them from a mental standpoint. But for me, I have to know that, all right, this hurts. I'm sore. I'm tired. The sleep thing I'm doing right now, a big part of that is, can I still operate fucking beat? And believe it or not, I'm doing a lot more, doing better than I thought I would, right? So that's something else that gives me like, okay, what if I do sleep 40 hours that week up, right, leading up to it? What if I sleep 8 hours a night? how am I going to fucking perform then? I may go out and put a 10-hour down and a 5-hour down, right? I don't know, right? So that's a big part of it, man. So yeah, the day after Ironman is pretty fucking brutal. I imagine the day after 70.3 is just as fucking brutal because, you know, you adjust your intensity, obviously, accordingly.
Right.
So going harder for shorter is probably the fucking same beat down as, you know, the 26.2 mile run at 10 of an Ironman.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think too, like I know leading up to it the night before, like, you're gonna sleep like shit because you're excited. And then the night after, like especially if you're doing a full, like your body's just all kinds of fucked up. So you're not gonna get a normal night's sleep between the full and the half. So like that's
It's
pretty
you know, it's funny,
training.
right? Yeah, you're right, dude. Here's the funny thing is like there was so much positive energy and stuff. And I sat and I watched the night before Arizona. I watched Tennessee play and they won, right? And then I started nodding off. And Oregon and Arizona State, this is give you an idea, man. That's our Arizona State's homecomings in Tempe the same week of Ironman. I was like, dude, y'all didn't plan that shit, yeah. So fucking that night, I just nodded off, right? I nodded off fairly early. It was like 10 o'clock local time. And then fucking Arizona upset Oregon. And I started hearing boom, boom, boom. The fireworks start going fucking bananas, right? And I wake up out of a dead sleep. And at my first was like, fuck, man, the old me had been like, what the fuck, man, I can't sleep. Then I was like, oh yeah, dude, that's badass. I took it like good energy here, right? Good things are happening, right? Yeah. So I slept like a baby. I woke up at 3 o'clock that next morning because I had to get ready. I wanted to eat and start fueling early because you got to get on the starting line about 7 o'clock, right? So I was fucking so excited that day, man. It was like, dude, this is the celebration. The work is fucking done. The hard part is over. Now, with Ironman, you don't do a practice Ironman. I fucking might, but I would never have anybody else do that, right?
Yeah,
so
I didn't figure.
There's a lot of excitement there. That night, believe it or not, and I guess I get it's common, right? People have like pre-race jitters. Dude, I didn't. It was weird. So this one, I've got a little bit of it. I mean, I'm using every tool I can. I think my chiropractor and the massage therapist are going to come with me. So and give me knock an adjustment down. Dude, and I refuse to believe that it won't help, right?
So you've heard it, guys. You heard it here first. Boyd Myers is bringing a massage therapist to Waco.
That's married to my chiropractor.
Now, will she be for hire?
I will talk to her. So she's a 3-time Ironman. She's tougher than you are. So I don't know. You know what? And she just happens to be. I haven't even like approached her. Like, hey, but Jay's like talked about going. So I'm like, hey man, you're adjusting me. So
that's the chiropractor piece makes sense to me, but the massage therapist, I hadn't even thought. My mind had not went there, man. You're light years ahead of me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny. Like I've thought about what I'm going to do. I got to get my feet in ice. I think that night, right? I think I've just got to. I mean, just from just a soothing standpoint, and get them in ice and get them elevated, right? I mean, there's going to be some therapy that night. So
you can bring the what are those compression pants things you wear?
My compression boots, yeah. I mean, Normatec's the popular ones. I have Air Relax. They basically what they do, because there's no mechanism that pushes blood back up the leg into the heart so it can regenerate. Mm-hmm. And what those do is run compression up your legs to you elevate your feet, and they get the warm blood out, the old blood, and get it so it can get recycled, right? So man, a lot of people's like, oh, those things are a fucking hoax. I'm like, maybe. But I started doing those. Like I used to go fucking pay $25 a session or something for this cryogenic place, cryotherapy place. And dude, I was like a new man after them. So I bought my own set, dude. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to do it. I did them the day after Ironman that morning. Because I bought them there and I hooked up, and I think they made a big fucking difference. And man, I'm a big fan of those things. Right. So, I mean, again,
if it works, use it.
Exactly. I think it works is all that matters. Right.
Right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. How long are you guys planning on staying in town after Sunday? You're not trying to fly out Sunday night, are
you? No, I'm driving because I don't know how to get a bike down there, so I'm gonna drive.
All right, so I'll walk you through that if you do want to fly. It's Tri-Bike Transport is who you use. You go to like Louisville, absolutely has bikes.
I'll just drive, bro.
Yeah, I mean I'm driving obviously, but I drove to Arizona. If you're in the States, I mean. If I race Cozumel, that's a whole other thing, right? So again, I got to think logistically on that. The reason, so I got COVID. The reason I didn't do it in 21, because I was signed up, is I got COVID and it was bad. but I made it worse because this is where I fucked up, right? Because I didn't care. I was like, motherfucker, I'm not going to go because I'm not going to suck because I don't do enough. If I fucking do too much, no, I can live with that. So I went out and ran like the third day of fucking hard. I was like, fuck COVID, I'll show this motherfucker. And I went out and ran, and it turned into pneumonia, right? So sometimes common sense has to take. I just don't have a lot of fucking sense. I'm from Kentucky. I'm from Harlan.
You're from Harlan. I mean, that's the problem right there, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, yeah.
No, I didn't drive down probably Friday. So if I come in Friday, I might leave Tuesday, something like that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, so I would get there if you could. I would get there Thursday, right, and then spend time. I mean, being around it's badass, dude. Be around the village. Because Saturday you have the Ironman village, but there's no buzz because the race is going on. Now, people don't know is Ironman is a fucking terrible spectator sport. It's shit, right? You see them at the swim, they come out of the swim, and then they're fucking going on the bike for, on the full for 6-7 hours, and on the half for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever, right? So yeah, man, it's a terrible spectator sport. But yeah, there's a lot of walking around the village and stuff. I like to do it when all the athletes are there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how registration is going to work for the half. I haven't even looked because they haven't dropped the schedule yet. I've been looking.
They got it back to back, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, there's only 2 a year, and that's something they've only done for a couple of years. It's not something they've done forever, right? So yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. And you'll see it and you'll think about it, right? Dude, they close the whole city down for the bike and the run. So
they have to, yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're a big deal. Typically the people in the cities where they're at don't like it, right? So
I'd say not, yeah.
Yeah, the people in the woods are shitty about the one in Ironman, Texas.
So I remember, again, I'm probably 30 miles outside of the Louisville area, but we had Ironman here for years, and they actually came out into, it wasn't 5 minutes from my house, and they closed the road off. And so they would put these signs there probably like a week leading up to it, and it would say like, hey, roads closed on this date from this time to this time.
Ironman, Louisville,
yeah, and as a local, we're like, man, fuck this shit. Like, we got to go around a different way because these motherfuckers want to bike. But it was just the 112 mile bike.
Yeah.
Like, they had to come so far out. They actually touched into Henry County, believe it or not. So that's 2 counties over from Louisville. And then they turned the loop and went kind of back another way into town. And then the marathon was down in town there somewhere, obviously. But yeah, man, the local people that are not big Ironman supporters or participants are like, yeah, they don't much care for it.
Yeah, it throws a little wrinkle in your fucking day-to-day routine, man. Hey, we're coming up on 2 hours, bro. So I mean, I'm gonna leave out. I was going to do word association with you and let you if I say a word, let you answer it. We're gonna say that because we'll definitely do it again. Okay.
Right, that sounds good, man.
Man, real quick before we hop off, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I appreciate the invite, and just for anybody that's watching this and you guys follow us or see us interacting on Twitter, and it seems like we hate each other. Yeah, some days we do. But the point I want to get across here is I got a world of respect for this guy. He's only 6 years older than me, but a lot of times he does kind of feel like a dad and a mentor in my life. So he means a lot to me, all joking aside. And I appreciate the fuck out of you, Boyd Myers, and appreciate you having me on here, bud.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm glad you finally came in and sat in the chair with me. You interviewed me as much as I interviewed you. So it was, and that's what I want. I wanted this to be a talk, right? So I'm glad you did it.
Sure.
You have an open invite. If there's anything, I want to tell anybody that just follows me that may not follow you. I think a lot of our followers do overlap, right? Yeah, follow him. There's a lot. I mean, there's inspiration. I mean, he's always positive in his kind of, fucking Western Kentucky style of way.
North Central, man. North Central.
Yeah, but to me, that's, dude, anything on the other side of 75, like Somerset's Western Kentucky to me. So,
oh man,
yeah, I'm on that Virginia, Tennessee border area, man. So anyway, man, you're dude. You, like I said, you are now. For you, people don't know, we really didn't grow up together. We really don't know each other. I mean, we've never met in person, which is fucking hilarious. That's going to come to a stop. But we met. We really started associating in March of 2022. And I'm not ashamed to say, dude, I love you. You're one of my best friends. And man, I'm excited to see what big things happen.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's going to be real. Waco's going to be a good time. And if you ever get your house sold, we need to get together before that.
I just got an offer.
Did you really?
Yeah, while you're on, I'm verifying that, but said, hey, we're getting
we're gonna buy some butter tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, she's like, hey, offer's coming right now. So I just saw that pop up a minute ago. I only had dude, on my favorites. I don't have you because I don't need your fucking nonsensical text early that it can go, because my phone's always on do not disturb, right? But one popped up, I saw it, my agent has it. So like, hey, get out of your fucking house, somebody's coming, right? But I looked down and she said offers incoming. So I was like, okay. So we'll see.
There you go.
Hopefully fucking the Federal Reserve doesn't say, nah, man, nah, son. And hey, before we go, man, this is funny. And it sits in my office. I took a picture of it earlier when I was taking a picture of the stack of monsters. I did finish both of mine. So this is something I found, dude. I was looking in that shoebox of yours, and yeah, you must have.
I remember making that.
Yeah, I think
it's been a long time ago, man.
You use like Jello pudding, like Bill Cosby style. Put your little hand down and put a little monkey head on it. That does kind of look like you now. I think I've got a picture. I think I've got a picture on my phone. I'll look with your head right there. It says, I love hanging with my daddy, with daddy.
It does not look like my handwriting though at the time. I think that may be a forgery.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so your teacher helped you, or your daycare teacher helped you. But I'll look at my phone and see if I got the one where you gave me with your head on it. So, all right, my brother, enjoy Florida, man.
All right, dude. I will. Have a good one, boy. We'll see you.
All right, brother. Love you, man.